That's what's going to happen to Russia. That's what's going to happen to China. That's what's going to happen to North Korea. They're all going to go down.
Zoharic doctrine, and it does not have good intention. As I said, that they want to rule the world, they want to get Gentile riches, and they want to...
Once we achieve our goals, then I have argued, I think, and Americans understand this very well, because we're real.
Listen, this video that I'm about to show you, or compilation of videos that I'm about to show you, is going to give you very detailed explanation of the plans of the Israeli Zionists, what they intend to do to the Middle East and also to the entire world. Listen, this video is going to give you everything, so you need to watch it from start to finish. Make sure you share, you like, you comment whatever you think. It's scary. It's scary. Trust me, it's scary, and it seems like everything the Bible said is gradually coming to pass. Listen, I don't want to talk plenty. Let's go into the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Comment whatever you think and share. Let's watch.
Wow. So these are some thoughts from one of our greatest allies. You'll want to listen to the whole thing.
Because the most powerful nations in the world have to go down to their knees. That's what happened to Egypt. That's what's going to happen to America. That's what's going to happen to Germany. That's what's going to happen to France. That's what's going to happen to London. England's going to happen to Poland. That's what's going to happen to Russia. That's what's going to happen to China. That's what's going to happen to North Korea. They're all going to go down. They're all going to go down to their knees, and especially the Western ones. The Zohar says that they're going to go down hard for how they treated us over the last 2,000 years, for the destruction of the Second Temple and how they treated us. Hashem's going to take them down hard. He's going to humiliate them on the world stage. Western countries, Asif, Edom. I'll take that one. That's what I want to see. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but let's move things ahead a little bit. So, of course, the world's going crazy now. Things are going to be speeding up a lot. But we're almost there, guys. It's happening. This is it. And so, yeah, it's less ethnocentric. It's less ethnocentric. Because the reason God's doing this is for His name in this world. And His name being made great amongst us, we already think His name's great. It's the world stage where His name is going to be made great. And that's going to be the ultimate fireworks show. That's going to be where the biggest Kiddush Hashem will happen, is when Hashem's name is made great in this world. Amen.
Isn't that nice? It's almost like we're subhuman or something, huh?
In 2024, an Israeli soldier was photographed in Gaza wearing this badge. It shows an imagined country stretching from the Nile in Egypt to the Euphrates in Iraq. It includes all of Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, and chunks of Syria, Egypt, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. It's called Greater Israel, what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls a historic and spiritual mission. Today, Israel's internationally recognized territory covers almost 21,000 square kilometers. The territory on that badge? Roughly 500,000 square kilometers, basically 25 times larger. Is Greater Israel already happening on the ground? A smaller version already exists. Israel plus the occupied Palestinian territories, plus the Golan Heights taken from Syria, about 27,000 square kilometers, with 800,000 settlers on illegally occupied land. The big version, seen on the badge, would absorb, in whole or in part, land from 7 sovereign nations, where over 120 million people live. Supported by settlers and given a nod by the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. But where did the idea come from? It traces back to Genesis 15:18, where God makes a covenant with Abraham, promising his descendants that land. It is quoted by the founder of modern Zionism, Theodor Herzl, in 1898, as the borders of a future Jewish state. Decades later, the idea became a strategy. In 1982, Oded Yinon, a former Israeli foreign ministry official, published A Strategy for Israel in the 1980s. The article argued that Israel's security required the fragmentation of surrounding Arab states. In 1996, a policy paper for Netanyahu called A Clean Break recommended abandoning the Oslo peace process and weakening Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. From Herzl to Netanyahu, more than a century apart, there's one trajectory. You don't take the land, You break the states around you until no one can stop you from taking what you want. That pattern is playing out right now. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich laid out the strategy in a leaked recording: do the annexation without calling it annexation. His map claims 82% of the occupied West Bank. He vowed to add 1 million Israeli settlers to Palestinian land. About half of Israelis polled support expanding control over Palestinian territories and pursuing annexation. Support for negotiating a Palestinian state has collapsed to just 1 in 10. In Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, the wars of the past 2 years almost all fall within the borders of the Greater Israel map. Many steps are similar: a military operation, a buffer zone, and then outposts, settlements, and annexation. Israel has never officially defined its borders. In 1948, its first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, refused, saying Israel would expand beyond partition once it built its strength. Since then, every border Israel has ever drawn has been temporary. Every expansion has been permanent.
In the Zohar, Talmud, and Kabbalah, the entire thing is separation of people to Israelitic and non-Israelitic, according to the book called Jewish Utopia. Now, they are building their own kingdom. It's the Jewish earthly kingdom with headquarters in Jerusalem, where their AI Messiah will be, and they're going to rule the world through the law. You know, it will be international, one law, one religion, basically Luciferian religion. So yes, in a Talmud, this is the Jewish earthly kingdom, and this is why the Zionist Christianity have embraced Kiliism. They have embraced, or Chiliism, I don't know how you would say.
Kiliism, which means 1,000.
1,000.
Where they get the 1,000-year millennial reign.
Exactly, which is a focus on earthly millennial kingdom. And this is how Jews and Christians are getting together, and Christians are so deceived, thinking that they're working for the good thing, for the Jews, like they're helping the Jews. The Jews are supposed to get this kingdom. Yet this is Zoharic doctrine, and it does not have good intention. As I said, that they want to rule the world, they want to get Gentile riches, and they want to rule the Gentiles. They don't consider Gentiles fully human beings, and in fact, as an end game, they have this strange doctrine, Adam Kadmon doctrine, which Adam Kadmon originally was, according to Zohar and Talmud, he was androgynous. You know, Adam, like he wasn't male, or he was male female in one body, and this is why you see this transgender agenda today, and there are laws, very serious laws, passing in Alberta, Canada.
Is Zionism behind the transgender movement?
You know, I don't think Zionist Christians are aware of this. They're not aware of many details of what
is Zionism.
But I think that, yes.
Does the transgender movement get its origin in Zionism?
Yes, it gets its origin in Zionism, and it gets its origin in the Talmud, Zohar, and Kabbalah. It's a Kabbalistic doctrine of Adam Kadmon, which is eventually they have this doctrine called Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Yes. So how do they want to repair the world? They want to bring it to the original. Who was original Adam? He was androgynous. So now they're putting specific things in food and drink, and they're basically their end game is to make humans that on Earth that will survive whatever it is they're bringing androgynous. Transgender agenda.
Once we achieve our goals, then I have argued, I think, and Americans understand this very well because we're real partners.
Real partners.
I think that what has to be done is to have alternative routes. Instead of going through the choke points of the Hormuz Straits and the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, in order to have the flow of oil.
Wait for it.
Just have oil pipelines going west through the Arabian Peninsula, right up to Israel, right up to our Mediterranean.
Boom. There you have it. The real objective of all of this was to intentionally, they knew that starting a war with Iran would cause a shutdown of both the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, which is what the Houthis can affect in the Red Sea, and then the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has effectively shut down. They knew that was going to happen because their long-term goal has always been to make the Muslim countries in the Arab states, the Gulf Arab states, force them to have to route all of their oil exports through Israel. Therefore, Israel can now control up to 40% of the world's petroleum. And that amount of control would absolutely make them a superpower. And that's exactly what they want. And this is why I say, if Iran falls, it's not going to be Turkey next. It's going to be Egypt, because they have to take back the Suez Canal. They had it during the Arab-Israeli war for a brief time. The UN forced them to give it back to Egypt. They've always wanted that back, because if they can control the Suez Canal and take that away from Egypt, and they can force all the Gulf states to run all their oil through Israel, Israel controls the world. And that's their ultimate objective. That's the objective of this war.
When there is a war, it doesn't matter who your enemy is. You need to destroy their offspring to prevent them from creating more offspring.
Believe Israeli women.
These are the settlers in waiting, keen to start a new life, to annex Gaza for Israel. But what of the Palestinians who live in Gaza now?
I just think we need to kill them, every one of them, and that's it.
Believe Israeli women.
Speaking about more than 2 million Arabs, they will not stay there. We, Jews, will be in Gaza.
That sounds like ethnic cleansing.
Believe Israeli women.
That seems sociopathic.
I can...
Doesn't it?
No, not at all. This is normal.
Believe Israeli women.
No, a single loaf of bread should go there.
They're starving to death.
You know what? If they're starving to death,
Believe Israeli women.
September 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, the U.S. Army released an intelligence report that said that the Zionists were pros at carrying out terrorist acts that made it appear that it was done by Arabs. Wake up, Americans. You're about to be pulled into a war with Arabs, with the Muslim world, and you're going to be made to believe that something horrible that happened to you was done by the Muslims. But it wasn't done by the Muslims. It was done by a wild card, the Israeli Mossad, that's cunning and ruthless and can carry out attacks on Americans and make it look like Arabs did it. That's not my conspiracy theory. That's the U.S. Army report.
The day before, published the day before 9/11.
You can call me any name you want to call me. That's a U.S. Army report. They warned us. They were telling us what Israel is capable of doing. The government, American society had not yet been conquered by the Zionists up to September 11. This country fell to Zionism on September 11, 2001. How did America fall so quickly and become Israeli-occupied territory? Because that's what we are. The United States of America is Israeli-occupied territory, the entire country. They took over the Congress, they took over the White House, they took over the Pentagon, they took over the CIA, they took over the Defense Intelligence Agency, they took over everything. They took over the American evangelical churches, they took over the news media, they took over cable television, they took over the whole country since 2001. How? How did they do it? Jeffrey Epstein. It's just that simple.
9/11 is the biggest lie of our lifetime.
You were on site that day. You believe it may have been a false flag?
Yes, that's correct. It's obvious to me that Building 7 was a controlled demolition because the building collapses from the bottom down. For a building to collapse uniformly, which the video showed, all the load-bearing columns would have had to have failed simultaneously. Unlike the Twin Towers collapsed from the top down. That's a progressive collapse.
Sure.
The trade centers were unique in that they were designed to withstand the impact of a jet. I've been involved with heavy construction for over 30 years, been involved with the constructions of high-rise steel frame buildings in Manhattan. I've worked on bridges, and I know what goes into these buildings. The outer skeleton of the building, the outer columns was like a fishnet, and you had these inner core columns, which was substantial, thick steel beams buildings to withstand 4 or 5 times what the loads were. The engineers always over-design a building, and they examined the dust, and they found what they call thermitic material, which is like an explosive incendiary. It was in the dust samples, and that's documented. There were reports of the buildings were undergoing an extensive elevator renovation in the 2 or 3 years prior to. All kinds of workers, they had access to the cores of the building. And on the day of the attack, the elevator company would not assist in the operations of the elevators. And the elevator company, it subsequently went out of business. And a couple of years after that, you have sworn testimonies from firefighters regarding explosions in the building. They were suppressed, just like Building 7 was ignored in the 9/11 Commission report. It's not in there.
What do you think Al-Qaeda's role in all of this was?
I think Al-Qaeda is made up. The FBI came out, I believe it was 2006, and actually said, this is verifiable, I had no concrete evidence linking Osama bin Laden with 9/11. Osama bin Laden worked for the Central Intelligence Agency in Afghanistan. He helped us fight the Russians when they were in Afghanistan. CIA helped orchestrate 9/11. It was their plan.
Yeah, duh, no shit. And you know what's crazy? The world, especially America, owes the Middle Easterns and the Muslims a major, and I mean a major apology. Because 9/11 was 1000% an inside job by the American and Israeli government as a way to have justifiable cause and reason to invade Middle Eastern countries like Iraq, to steal their resources, oil, gold, and economically overly fuck them over. On top of painting one of the most evil and fucked up narratives that the Middle Easterns are a bunch of barbaric terrorist savages, and paint this racist, false, evil narrative that Muslims and Middle Easterns are terrorists. And all the Middle Easterns and Muslims have known this shit. Everything that I'm talking about right now, they've known this shit since 2001 and way before that. It was them against the fucking world for 25 years. It took 25 years for a majority of the world to see the truth. And y'all realize the owner of the building took out terrorism insurance shortly before all this happened. And he just so happened to be absent that exact day. It was clearly an inside job. It was so obviously an inside job. So this means, people, that the American government worked with Israel and attacked America and blamed an innocent country and region and used that as a reason to steal from them and paint them as terrorists and monsters. How fucking trifling is that? And then they try to teach our kids, they try to teach my generation the lies that the bullshit mainstream media news feeds us all that's owned by the same ones who caused this shit and brainwashed our parents to believe this bullshit. We, Gen Z, are the chosen generation to unveil the truth. It is not a conspiracy anymore. And if you genuinely still think it is, you are a part of the problem. Bin Laden had nothing to do with the terrorist attacks. You guys realize ISIS and all these terrorist organizations have been confirmed to be owned by the Israelis. Like, come on, bro.
In 1965, the former president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, said he couldn't respect the present Jews in Israel because they left Israel black and they came back white. Because they were Caucasians when they returned, Turkic Mongol Asians from the Caucasus Mountains, the Russian steppes. Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. I am black. The Hebrew word there is shachar ha-anya. It literally translates to, I am dark-skinned. Strong's number, and I don't use Strong's numbers very often, but there's gonna be pushback. Strong's number 7838, shachar, from Strong's number 7835, dusky. So the word shachar means dusky. And if you look in the concise Oxford English Dictionary in the 10th edition, dusky means darkish in color, euphemistic of a person black and dark-skinned.
Under the Moorish Empire, the Jew, the Muslim, and the Christian lived in such harmony you could not tell them apart. It was one family of Asiatics Christian oligarchs.
And the black nobility started the racial theater. These modern Zionists turned this republic into a graveyard of death.
We know from the records that the real Jew is the Asiatic Moor. The word Hebrew only means the one who has crossed the river, and the first tongue was the Canaanite, Moabite dialect.
Very clearly, it is not anti-Semitism to denounce the Zionist movement. We must separate the faith of our fathers from this political machine.
We have no problem with Muslims and Christians or Palestine or Iran. We are all one family of nations who once lived in such harmony you could not tell one from the other.
Many Jews know these old records. These scholars, the Moors appear in several of the early traditions.
The Zionist propaganda, it makes the world despise our people. But not all Jews go along with this madness.
We stand with the Moors because we remember the real Yehuda. We keep the Orthodox way born in the lands of Moab and Canaan.
These paintings, very old tradition.
These are the Moors, the original Asiatics of the Covenant who built after the deluge. They stood against the Zionists, Khazarians.
Are the Alte records. They show the real Yehuda. People forget the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition is the oldest surviving Christian nation on earth. These monuments go back to King Azaniah's time, long before the modern faith.
And yet how many Jews are living in a spell, afraid to speak out against the Zionist machine because they do not know that...
It is not anti-Semitism to denounce the Zionist movement.
Look at this city. They call it New York, but we are standing in the Maghreb Al-Aqsa, the farthest west. The real Yisrael, and how many Yidden are living in a spell, afraid to speak against the Zionist machine.
Many communities of scholars lived across different regions. These images represent how some ancient communities remembered their teachers.
People forget. The Ethiopian Orthodox path is the oldest surviving nation of the faith. The patriarch there stands above Rome itself. In their archives, the faces stayed black. They kept the memory of the...
The Moars. Alter Rabbonim. Moars.
בעד חוק עונש מוות, 62, 48 מתנגדים, נמנע אחד. אני קובעת כי הצעת חוק עונש מוות למחבלים, תשפ"ו 2026, התקבלה בקריאה השנייה והשלישית, והחוק ייכנס לספר החוקים של מדינת ישראל. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. עם ישראל חי! אני מזמינה את חבר הכנסת, אני רוצה גם להודות לכל השותפים, לך אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני אעלה גם לברך, אז כן. כן. אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני רוצה לומר לך באופן אישי, שזה דבר שאני לא אשכח לך לעולם. אני יודעת מה זה דרש ממך. תודה רבה.
השר, על מה כל החגיגה?
מוות למחבלים עבר היום, חוק מוות למחבלים, היסטוריה. בעזרת השם בקרוב, אחד להוציא להורג, כל אלה שטבחו ורצחו ושרפו, לחיים ישראל.
I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, would like to apologize to the Austrian painter. I spent roughly, I'm 43 now, I spent roughly 40 years of my life believing he was a bad person. So they just passed a law which allows them to execute Palestinian prisoners. By the way, up until today, every killing and everything they've been doing is illegal. So now it's about to be legal. And you saw them celebrating. You say it's a historic moment, monumental. You saw how she was saying, "We the people of Israel." I apologize to the Austrian painter. He said it. Someday you will look back and you see I was right.
You're saying the death penalty shows there will be no equal rights.
Absolutely not. Of course, the death penalty law is another sign of how far Israel is going in the direction of creating a terrible apartheid system. A much worse apartheid than what prevailed in South Africa at one point of time. Even the apartheid horrible regime at the time in South Africa did not dare to say that if a a black man kills a white man, he will be taken to, he will be executed. But if a white man kills a black man, he will not be. What Israel did is exactly that, saying that a Palestinian could be sentenced to death penalty, but an Israeli no, for the same crime.
השר, ראיתי שהאיראנים אומרים שאתה מת. אני מת להוציא מחבלים להורג. עונש מוות למחבלים.
Well, there you have it. An Israeli minister celebrating or showing off the hanging chamber, which basically the law that was passed yesterday that Israelis were celebrating for the same crime. If an Israeli right now, say two best friends, an Israeli and a Palestinian, go and commit a crime, the Israeli goes to prison or jail or maybe even gets let off, the Palestinian gets sentenced to death for the same crime.
אישה מבוגרת, תעזבו אותה!
I was an Israeli grandma peacefully protesting the new law that was put into place. So if you don't know, a new law was passed into place to guarantee death penalty for Palestinian prisoners. It's not just that, it's the way, so basically Palestinians will now get killed for the same crime, but if Israelis commit that same crime, there's no death penalty for them. So basically, if an Israeli and Palestinian happen to be best friends and they both go out together to commit a crime and they get caught, the Israeli does not get the death penalty, the Palestinian gets the death penalty. So that's what that grandma was protesting, and what you saw was the Israeli police malhandling her because, you know, why the fuck are you, one of us, siding with the, you know, dirty Palestinian type shit.
We're in Mea Shearim, a Jewish Orthodox neighborhood in the very center of Jerusalem, which has been turned into a kind of a ghetto by the Israeli state. The core of the population of Mea Shearim lived here since before the Zionist state. A lot of them are very anti-Zionist. Today there is a demonstration done at the same time as Israel's Independence Day.
Jews are not Zionists because the Zionist ideology is not Jewish. The Zionist ideology is against the Jewish beliefs. Zionists are not Jews anymore. Even if they were born as Jews, they are not Jews anymore. Of course, we raise the Palestinian flag because, first of all, it's a symbol that we have no war with them. We are against the occupation that they have been going through. We are like brothers with each other. We understand that what they suffer is our suffer also. Every spilled blood that we see with them is hurting our heart, especially when it comes from the Jewish nation's name. They stole the Jewish nation's name, Israel, and we are ashamed. We are very ashamed that they do it in our name. They have owned this land. It's called Palestine. They tried to remove the Palestinian name, the Palestinian tradition. They stole the Jewish name and they steal the Palestinian land. There is no freedom here. There is no democracy like you see. We cannot declare our opinions in public. We cannot make a protest in public. And I've personally been beaten today.
They just arrested a father and left. Holy shit. Fuck. They were just arrested a father and left his child in a stroller in the middle of the street alone.
We want the Palestinians to gain back their lands because we are not thieves. We don't want anything to take out from them. We want them to live peacefully and with freedom, with complete freedom. No apartheid, no apartheid state. We don't want it.
Hi.
Hi.
Where are you from?
I'm from Israel. Oh, I know you from TikTok.
What do you think about my videos?
I mean, I don't support you because you support Palestine, you know.
What's wrong with supporting Palestine?
Because Gaza, if they wouldn't bomb us and get into our country, we wouldn't take their water and we wouldn't give them less food, you know?
The children should be punished?
All of Gaza population.
Why? That's collective punishment. Why does Israel bomb hospitals in Gaza?
It's for safety for our country.
Oh, okay. Is it because Hamas is inside of the hospitals? Do you have a hospital near you?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Benningson.
Benningson? Okay, let's say there was a Hamas soldier inside of the Benningson hospital. Is it okay for Israel to bomb that hospital to get rid of the Hamas soldier?
No.
Oh, that was a quick answer.
We wouldn't.
Okay, but if it was in Gaza, would you bomb the hospital?
Yes, because if the hospital is in Gaza...
What? Are you listening to yourself? There's a lot of amputees in Gaza. I think they have the highest amount of children amputees in Gaza. They can't walk. They have no legs anymore. What about the babies in incubators? They're babies. They can't do anything. What about the patients that need medical help and they need to stay in those hospitals and be treated by those doctors? Not everyone can leave in the split of a second, right? They can't do that. You have to put yourself in their shoes. Don't be so selfish and naive, you know?
I understand you.
Israel, they've committed a genocide. They've killed 30,000 Palestinian children. Do you think the Israeli people, do you think you should pay a price for what your government did? You specifically, do you think you should pay a price?
Yeah, I understand you.
Do you think you learned something from this conversation?
Yes, I did.
If you can name two things that you learned from this conversation, what would you say?
That you shouldn't say something before you know the whole story.
Yeah.
And that not everyone should pay the price.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you for this conversation.
No problem.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
What? That's so amazing. That's actually amazing.
I'll pay you with the Qing Dynasty coin. No Israel, huh? You don't like Israel? So I can't shop here? Huh? No Israel? Not good.
That's in Cambodia. I said it. This is going to keep spreading till Israelis find themselves in a position where they can. The only two places they can travel to, really feel safe, is America and Israel. That's in Cambodia. Y'all saw that. Says no Israeli tourists, and a picture of Epstein right next to them, next to the sign. No Israeli tourists, and a picture of Epstein. So Cambodians now automatically they connect Jeffrey Epstein with Israel. They connect, like, that's the connection. He worked for Israel. He was doing all of this, blackmailing all these people for Israel. That's the connection they're making. Because why else would Jeffrey Epstein's picture be right next to no Israeli tourists? In Cambodia, most of the videos that we've been seeing were in Thailand, because there were so many of them in Thailand, and Thai people, it's understandable to say, okay, Thai people have had bad experiences with them, that's why they're acting like this. There's not that many of them in Cambodia, but the Cambodians have jumped on board. I told you guys, Israelis, unless you collectively do a Mussolini on your prime minister, it's gonna get worse. And I've said this multiple times.
Listen, this is crazy. This is scary, because the sad thing is no one is doing anything about it. Nobody is doing anything about it. And I'm surprised. Even they've come out boldly to talk about bringing America down, bringing Europe down, bringing all of these big countries down. And no other country is doing anything about it. Now they are still expanding their territories. They are expanding. And you ask yourself, what at all are these people looking for? They just want to control the world. Listen, it is scary. And the sad part is America is supporting them, all because of Epstein files. They're leaking certain videos of people. Bro, listen, in this situation, all I can say is that it is only Americans that can save us. It is only American citizens that can save us. Because if you people don't act and you be on social medias talking, listen, it will not bring any solution to this. It will never bring any solution to this. Americans, you are the ones that can save the world. The American citizens, not the 1% elite people. No, the American citizens, the ordinary American citizen. You guys are the people that can bring a revolution, a serious one, not the No Kings protest that was held recently. That was too quiet. We need a serious one. And American people, you are the only, you need to just change all the leaders, all the elite, everybody. Honestly, if anything of that sort doesn't happen, then we are on. Because tell me, if America pulls back and says they are not going to support Israel right now, Israel cannot do what they are doing. I rest my case. Thank you so much for watching.